US microphone, USB audio device in live. Yep, we have green.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, it's bright.
It's such a better camera.
Oh yeah, it's HD.
All right, so I guess I gotta upgrade my camera then whatever got up there. Yeah, maybe.
All right,
let's go over
scroll this guy up, and I will hit record in just a hot second here. Uno, dos, tres.
And welcome in to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your one-stop weekly show for all the news and thoughts about movies, TV, music, and video games. Not necessarily in that order. My name's Mike. His name is Matt.
Hi, Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us here on the Media Boat Podcast. Different recording place, but same Media Boat Podcast content. So thank you for joining us if you're watching on the live stream or recorded. We don't judge. We take fans from all sides.
They're still getting into your ears.
Yes, it's true. This is episode 339 of the Media Boat Podcast. Today is July the 9th, 2022.
Hopefully you had a good 4th of July.
Yes. Hopefully you enjoyed the long weekend here in the U.S. If you're anywhere else, too bad. You had a regular week. Ha ha ha, you. But thanks for joining us anyways.
But then they're all laughing at us. They're like, ha, you live in the U.S.
Right, exactly. It's fair. It's honestly fair.
Yes, it is.
All right. Let's, why don't we just get started right into it? We don't have a super long show, I don't think, this week.
I don't think so.
So one thought at the end might take a little bit, depending on how you felt about it.
Yeah. Well, I think I have thoughts in everything but video games. So let's get right into it. And we start with music, and we start the music with the Billboard. And we start the Billboard with the Hot 100. Right. And as it was, so it foretold, back again, as it was, Harry Styles, number 1. Yeah. Welcome back. At 2, First Class by Jack Harlow. At 3, About Damn Time by Lizzo. Coming in at 4, Wait For You by Future. But really, it's Drake. And
Thames, don't forget about Thames.
Okay, and Thames. And coming in at number 5, Jimmy Cooks by Drake featuring 21 Savage.
So yeah, that jumps from number 1 last week all the way down to number 5. And Harry Styles reclaims his spot.
Because everyone realized, oh yeah, that's not that good.
Drake burns quickly and then dissolves away.
Yes. As for your albums chart, your Billboard 200. At number 1, it's Summer because Un Verano Sin Ti by Bad Bunny is your number 1 album. Still.
Back at number 1 this week.
Yeah.
Still.
He's still in the top 5. So at number 2, Growing Up by Luke Combs.
Yeah.
That new Luke Combs album.
Starting this week.
Coming in at 3, honestly, never mind, by Drake. Coming in at 4, Breezy by Chris Brown.
Ugh.
And rounding out your top 5, 7220 by Lil Durk.
Yeah, back in the top 5 after a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to see Chris Brown up here, but at least Dangerous isn't on here.
Yes, I was thinking of listening to the Breezy album, but then I realized, wait, no, that's Chris Brown.
Nope,
never mind.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Not worth your time. Not worth your time.
Oh, no. So if you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases.
We do.
Starting with 11, Bleed Here Now by ... and You Will Know Us by The Trail of Dead. I thought that was still part of the album. We had the dash. That's why I paused so hard.
That is the name of the band.
And You Will Know Us by The Trail of Dead.
You've never heard of Trail of Dead before? ...
Yeah,
no. You've never heard of them? Okay.
All right. We also have Beatopia by Biba Doobie.
Yeah, the most fun to say of this week.
Hellfire by Black Midi.
MIDI, like the sound format.
MIDI.
Artificial
Countrysides by Elf Power, coming in the middle of summer. The Other Side of Make Believe by Interpol. Yes, that Interpol.
When I saw the name of this Interpol record, I wanted to think that they were making just an album of B-sides from the Weezer album Make Believe. But I don't think that's what this is.
I don't think so. But that'd be great.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Worldwide Pop by Superorganism.
Yeah.
Make sure you say it's organism, not the other way.
Different album
completely. Then we have 3 of the biggest releases, I'd say.
Yeah.
The Hardest Part by Noah Cyrus. Self-Explanatory by Neo.
Yeah. Neo. He's back.
And Special by Lizzo, which we will both be checking out next week.
Yeah, we'll check out the Lizzo record. We've already heard a couple of advanced singles, including It's About Damn Time. So, yeah.
Song of the Summer. It's About Damn Time.
No, it's not Song of the Summer.
I don't know.
I hate to break it to you, but it's probably as it was.
I hate to break it to you, but it's whenever that Beyonce album drops.
Fair. Songs of the summer.
Songs
plural.
of the summer.
All right, but what happened in news?
Let's get into music news, shall we? And we start with Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
And the wife of Mr. Carlos Santana, Miss Cindy Blackman Santana, said that her husband is doing very well after he passed out on stage during a concert earlier this week. The veteran guitarist was performing at the Pine Knob Music Theater outside of Detroit on Tuesday night when he collapsed mid-song due to heat exhaustion and dehydration. He was immediately treated by medical personnel and waved to fans as he was wheeled off stage and taken to a nearby hospital. Yet another incident of an artist being taken to a hospital in the past 2 weeks.
I mean, I want to say this has probably always happened, but now with the immediacy of social media, we're hearing about it more often. That's my best guess.
It's always happened in like past concerts, like 80s and 90s, but like now that social media, you can whip out your camera phone and record it and immediately post
People know immediately instead of it being a story that you tell your friends after it happens. I mean, that's a part of it. Also, I think that we have a lot of aging artists that are still on tour, which is another part of it. Santana ain't young. He's been around since the 60s. So this is going to happen, but at least he's doing well. At least his wife doesn't seem too concerned.
You know who isn't young?
Who?
Well, Neil Young is always young. But Willie Nelson.
Yes, that's true.
Who is performing at a concert tonight.
Yeah, but he's bulletproof because all the weed that he's smoked.
Yeah, but it's out in the middle of California heat, so maybe be on lookout, Willie Nelson.
Friend of the show, Christy, has a theory that all the artists that are still alive that did a lot of drugs in the 60s are alive because those drugs, instead of killing them, have sort of
worked their immune system,
like that is like put a shield around them from anything that could possibly happen to them. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, you just what doesn't kill you makes you stronger,
exactly,
and immune to everything else.
Exactly. So that's why Willie's still around.
Yes.
Oh man, the day that he goes, he and Dolly Parton, the day that they go, geez, it's gonna be really.
Everyone just plays the day the music died on repeat.
It's so depressing. But let's not talk about that.
Let's talk about something else that's
depressing.
What
else is depressing in a different way.
Yes. And someone who's no longer with us, Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So
the songs are, or are they?
Or are they? Because 3 songs from the posthumous 2010 Michael Jackson album titled Michael, which some fans have long insisted were not sung by the late artist, have been removed from streaming services. Ooh, cue conspiracy theories. A statement from Jackson's estate and Sony Music, who, if we previously remember, had acquired the singer's entire vaults in a $250 million deal back in 2010. They say, in a joint statement, that the songs were removed in an effort to, quote, move beyond the controversy, but effectively maintains that the vocals were not faked. Quote, nothing should be read into this action concerning the authenticity of the tracks. Emphasized, bold, italics.
So, yeah, this is
and whenever you say something like that, you immediately go,
It's just weird considering it's been 12 years since the release of that posthumous record. And so the fans have probably been talking about this for that much time. And to finally have the Sony Music, the license holders in this case, being like, you know what? We're sick of it. We're just done with this conversation. Let's just remove the songs completely.
Or conversely, someone's brought forth an actual legitimate lawsuit against them.
That would be a weird lawsuit. I don't know.
If like 10 years later, 12 years later?
That. Yeah, I feel like statute of limitations on that is probably up. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Technology's gotten better. Maybe they can now definitively prove.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. I remember at the time talk about it was a lot of the songs were kind of cooked together from outtakes, and maybe excerpts were redubbed in a way to make them sound a little better, a little sweetened. And so I want to say that maybe the reason why it doesn't sound like it's him is because he's being tweaked in the background so much and corrected in order for it to sound modern. And so I don't blame the fan for being like, that doesn't sound like Michael, but I also think that it's ridiculous to complain about it because what do you expect? He's dead.
Well, I mean, there's also the Simpsons episode where they don't credit Michael Jackson, and it doesn't sound like Michael
That's
Jackson.
not even on Disney Plus. You
Yes.
can't even watch that. If you want
Exactly.
to. I mean, we just recently, I didn't have this in the video game news recently, but we saw that it got confirmed recently that he did write those songs for Sonic 3.
Mhm.
So it's like a very interesting kind of like aftermath to his career, where we're constantly thinking about like what did he do, what wasn't he involved in,
How
what
we just
actually
finding-
was him, what isn't him.
How are we just finding about this 12 years after his death?
Yeah, so long after his death that it's wild. But anyway, I just thought it was an interesting story for what the precedent it sets. That
Mhm.
they can just be like, oh, this is too controversial. Yoink. Not
You
even
know,
talk about it anymore.
We'll talk about people removing stuff from digital services a little bit later as
A little bit
well.
later too.
So
So any musically listened to? Doesn't seem like we have anything.
yes, we have to put something in
We have
thoughts.
to put something in thoughts. What do we
Yes.
need to add?
So speaking of people from the famous in the 80s, both
Okay.
Carlos Santana and Michael Jackson,
Sure.
I listened to a band that put on an album this week.
Okay.
That was also from that era.
All right.
Journey
Okay.
and their album Freedom.
Freedom
Yes. Hey,
by Journey.
do you like Journey?
They're a little cheesy for me. I'm not a classic rock guy.
Do
know
you
this.
like Secret Ways? Do you wish there was an album that was just entirely made of synths of Secret Ways,
God,
but
no.
different variations of that synth?
Absolutely not.
Do you like the 80s, 90s
And
smooth,
today?
the 80s and 90s like rock ballads,
No,
love song rock ballads?
no, I don't. Like Power Ballads TV ad.
Yes, power
Yeah.
ballads, yes. That's
Yeah,
Freedom by
Freedom.
Journey.
Well, there you go.
That being said, it sounds like Journey, and the fact that they're still doing this all these years later,
Yeah.
bravo. Continue to do what you're doing. You're
going,
hitting
yeah.
that exact that
Yeah.
milestone that you guys want.
There are people who this is exactly in their wheelhouse and they'll love it.
Yeah. So if you like Journey and this is exactly in your wheelhouse, you're gonna love this album. It does remind me a lot of those like 90s, like almost every song on this sounds like it could have been on a 90s like compilation or like movie soundtrack, like end of the song credits.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, you're hitting the notes here. All the highs, all the beats, all the
and the high notes. I bet they're in those high notes.
And definitely high notes. I was like, yep, that should go on a love songs, like generic love song soundtrack, generic pop song soundtrack,
Sure.
generic action film. It definitely sounds like it. So if you want Journey, I don't know if it's like good Journey or if it's like Journey riffing off the Journey that they used to be to kind of like get that same embellishment that they used to have.
I mean, that's what happens when you get so long in your career that you're basically a nostalgia band.
Right.
Is that even if you do new music, it has to harken back to that sound, because otherwise, what are you doing? Otherwise, what's the market that you're catering to? You can't be Journey and come out with something super experimental.
Unless you're Eric Church, who just always does something super different every single
Church
time.
is in such a different area of his career than Journey is.
Right. I mean,
like
even Willie Nelson puts out kind of the same stuff over and over and over again.
You know what you're getting into when you buy one of those albums, and they can't betray you. They can't like put out something too.
Well, they also can't attray you.
It's a very different band.
Yes, that's a very different band.
Very different band. But anyway, so it sounds like Journey is what I'm gathering.
It's a very Journey album that sounds like Journey. Like I said, if you like Secret Ways, I absolutely like it. You're gonna get the immediate like Journey dopamine.
So,
like I love this album.
If you are 58 years old and you love Journey, check this out.
Or if you just really love the music video of Secret Ways, I listened to it constantly when you were in college. And yes, I am talking to you. You know who you are. This album may be for you.
Well, there you go. Shout out to a specific person. Anything else we listened to this week?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't have anything of note. Just a couple of small releases this week. Next week, we'll be listening to Lizzo, and I'll listen to that Diva Doobie record. I've actually been looking forward to that. I like her early singles. All right, let's move on to
video. We go to video games, and we start with new releases.
Barely anything this week. If you have a PC, you got a couple of things that you haven't played yet.
Yep. You have Monument Valley.
Yep.
And Monument Valley 2 for the PC.
Those were mainly mobile games when they were first released. I played a lot of Monument Valley 1. It's just a fun little puzzle game about perspective and switching perspective to navigate a puzzle.
So Fez.
Way less complicated than Fez. Way less complicated.
All right.
It's also the game that saved currently canceled Kevin Spacey in House of Cards.
Really?
It was a plot point in House of Cards, season 1, Monument Valley. Do you remember that?
No.
Way back then.
Funny, because there's also a God of War reference.
That's later.
That's
That's
later.
season 2, I think.
Yes.
Season 1, he plays Monument Valley. It has
Okay.
like a fucking epiphany.
Epiphany.
Yeah. Sorry to bring up another canceled person on this podcast.
And canceled show.
Yeah, but I had to. Anyway.
All right. And lastly, because there's only like a couple releases here.
Yeah.
Eyes in the Dark, The Curious Case of the Victoria Bloom, also on PC.
Yeah, probably like a mystery game. I don't know. Slow release week, nothing for consoles. Except in case you're one of these people, new games have been leaked for the PlayStation Extra and stuff.
Yes.
You might get Final Fantasy VII remake.
Remake Intergrade.
So I might actually play it. I don't know. And then also, if you have a PlayStation, any of the tiers,
Any of them,
you can download
Crash
Crash
Bandicoot
Bandicoot 4 this week. Or
Yep.
this month.
Yep, that's the PlayStation Plus game.
Oh yeah, and Game Pass games got announced. Power Wash Simulator coming to Game Pass.
Hey!
Anyway, let's move on.
Let's move into video game news. And we start with some E3 news.
Yeah.
Be good, bad, maybe.
You know what? I think a lot of people will be very excited about this.
All right.
People who like attending expos.
So, ReedPop,
Yeah.
the events company behind PAX, EGC, Star Wars Celebration, and New York Comic Con, will officially take over the running of E3 in 2023.
Yeah, this is a big change. Traditionally, the ESA has put it on themselves. They've obviously learned from their mistakes.
Yes. So the ESA, which is the Entertainment Software Association, announced the news on Thursday following recent confirmation that the flagship show will return in person in 2023 for its first event in 4 years.
Yeah. First in-person event.
First in-person. Yes, we've had digital E3.
Events.
Yes, as well as running high-profile events in the U.S. and Europe. ReedPop is the owner of Gamer Network, which runs websites such as Eurogamer, GamesIndustry.biz, VG247, and Rock Paper Shotgun, and is the network partner of VGC.
Yeah, so that's just a disclaimer because I got this off of VGC.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, I think this is interesting news. It means the ESA is basically pushing off the actual process of running a show to a company that's very familiar with the process of running a show, also very good at it. If you ask a lot of people love PAX. People love PAX. And the Star Wars experience has been a huge hit lately as well.
Especially when they went PAX East and PAX West. Yeah. People liked it.
So it's a really good idea if you're the ESA. If you're somebody who's like, do we really need E3 to come back? And if you're somebody who's especially questioning the validity of an in-person event in 2023, even with coronavirus still being a threat, less exciting, I think, here. So, yeah, I'm a little divided about the story. I'm glad the ESA finally realized that they suck, though. Like, that's kind of the good news here. But seeing E3 come back feels a little mixed.
Well, the reason for E3 was that you could do the showcase and then go play the demo live right there on the showcase floor.
The other weird part about this is the question about where does Jeff Keighley fit into this puzzle?
Right.
In the past, before he's kind of created his own empire, he has worked directly with PAX and has been a very, very formative person involved in PAX. He also worked with several years of E3, organizing with them. Now, though, he has Summer Games Fest, the brand, pretty established at this point. And he actually went on social media after this announcement and said, this does not change any plans he has for an in-person Summer Games Fest experience. So this means that they could potentially compete against each other, maybe even the same week, maybe depending on how that goes, maybe different weeks. I don't know, which really makes it interesting if you're staff of a press or media, and you're trying to figure out where to send people and what matters most. E3 has the name and cachet, but Summer Game Fest has proved itself to be the newcomer. What happens next June? I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, hopefully they don't run over the same week.
Yeah, that would be
Or,
brutal.
ReedPop just goes to Jeff Keighley and say, hey, we'll give you your own ballroom here.
Yeah.
Please come and make a deal so we can have people in the event.
It's an interesting situation we haven't been in ever in E3's existence. They've never competed against another show around the same timetable, and here it could happen.
It's always been in the middle of summer, which
Yep.
nothing ever happens.
Well, beginning of
See
June.
our news stories of nothing happening.
So we'll see. It'll be really interesting to watch what happens, whether coronavirus reasons or competition reasons. I don't know, but eyes peeled for next June.
Yep.
Anyway,
let's get to the actual news of the week then.
Yes.
The one I'm most excited about.
Yes, finally the other shoe is dropped, as we like to say here.
The other axe has dropped.
Yes, the axe has fallen.
The other boy has dropped. As God of War God of War Ragnarok has finally announced the release date of November 9th of this year, holiday season.
Yes.
It has also released a new CG trailer for the game and a video showing off multiple editions of the PS4 and PS5 versions.
Yes.
Which are viewable below for pre-orders.
Yes, below us.
Yes. Pre-orders for God of War Ragnarok will begin on July 15th at 10 a.m. local time. But for here in the US, it's 10 a.m. Eastern time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific time.
You can look up the time differences.
Yes. Players who purchase any edition of the game before launch will receive the Kratos Risen Snow Armor and the Atreus Risen Snow Tunic digital bonuses. Players who purchase the standard edition of God of War Ragnarok for PS4 will be able to upgrade to the PS5 version for $10, but that is not the big controversy going on here.
All right, what's the big controversy? Tell me.
So you can either buy the game for a physical device.
Okay.
So you can get the disc just in the standard version and standard version only.
Sure.
If you buy any of the deluxe packages or any of the special editions, they will come with digital codes for the game.
Okay.
Even though the big ones include a steel box case for a disc that does not exist.
It's 2022.
Yes, but
do we need a disc?
Well, one, people like the disc, but two, some of the people don't have the disc, and this is why I'm going to shame all you people. There is a PS5 digital edition out there. So what are people going to do who buy like the big, box?
Yeah.
The showcase tunic box, and then like have a disc but can't use it. They need to have a digital code, and they're not going to put a code with the disc because that just comes to two games. They have to do one or the other.
So I guess that kind of blocks you off of buying that if you don't. Right?
What do you mean?
Like it blocks you off of buying if you don't have the disc version, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why they went with all digital for this.
Yeah, that's smart. See, that's what I'm saying. It's 2022. Yes, obviously this is when we have to say for people in the world that do not have a great internet connection and need a disc, this sucks.
Yes.
Because unlike Microsoft, Sony does still put games on those discs. I don't know if you are familiar, but Xbox games, there's nothing on there but
it's just an activation code.
Yeah, it's just activation. You download it. So you're already screwed if you're an Xbox consumer, if you're in a place.
Same with EA people.
Yeah. But Sony still puts games on there. So this sucks if you are one of those people, and I'm sure they're out there still, that needs that data on that disc. So, I'm ambivalent about it. I don't think it should be a big controversy, though. Like, this is just how games are in 2022. This is the new normal. We are in that all-digital future that people were so scared about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It happened.
The one example I constantly go back to and reference for people is that people in the military who don't have internet connection, but have the game systems that they want to play these games, they have to get a disc.
Yeah. As for one other note about this release date, it's a Wednesday.
No, it's a Wooden Day.
Yes, but
it's Norse for Wooden, which is Odin.
People were talking about that. But that's not what I'm talking about.
Typically, it's a Tuesday or Friday. Yes.
But yeah, it's interesting placement considering that there's a lot happening that week. The 8th is Election Day here in the U.S., which will be the primary elections in your respective states. There will be, it's also the week that the original release date of what's that name? Starfield. Thank you. Starfield. It rhymes with Garfield. That's right.
Yes.
Starfield was supposed to come out before it got delayed. It's a weird week. And
maybe they took that date because they got moved out.
I want to say that maybe that's why they held off.
Gotta put your conspiracy theory hat on. That's why they held off.
They wanted that early November.
They wanted to see what everyone else was doing for the holiday season.
That makes me think. And they waited forever for Microsoft to commit to anything. Turns out Microsoft has nothing, which is why they didn't commit to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, turns out Nintendo also has nothing but Pokemon, which comes out a couple weeks later.
Yes.
So,
and those are two very different fan bases, unless you're me, which combines both of them.
So I feel like they were waiting on two things.
Yes.
They were probably waiting on the dev team to say, absolutely, we're going to release this year.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you're right. I think you're probably right. Like, they had to wait for everybody else to figure their schedules out.
Well, because Sony and Microsoft know that getting God of War out there is going to be their game, their holiday game. They're keeping that bullet in the chamber until they have to tell you what is coming out.
Looking at the calendar, it's the only game.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only big release this fall.
Besides Pokemon.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild that everything else went to 2023. We just, in fact, learned that another this isn't in my news because it's kind of a little blip, but we also learned that the Square Enix's, what's that name of that game? The Isekai lady shows up, goes into the fantasy world.
Octopath Traveler.
No. It's third person. It's like an action, kind of Devil May Cry combo system, but it's like in a fantasy world.
Yes, that
game got delayed again into 2023. That was supposed to be holiday as well.
Okay.
So yeah, everything moved. Everything moved. So it's God of War's year. Everybody get ready. This is the only game you're playing unless you own a Switch and you want to play Pokemon.
Yep, this will be my early birthday present or late birthday present to myself, I guess, because it comes after.
Fair enough. Well, we'll get there when we come to November. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that game. In the meantime, been playing anything that isn't Neon White?
No. I'm just bringing Neon White everywhere I go and playing it.
Yeah, it's a good time. Next week, we'll talk about, we're going to compare some of our times here and see who's dominant.
Yes.
I bet you're probably way ahead of me at this point.
Oh, yeah. I'm on World 7 now.
Yeah, I didn't play it all this week. This week was too busy for me.
It's okay. I'm kind of stuck trying to get this one damn present that I can't seem to figure out. They'll be like, oh, yeah, that's how you get it. But
yeah. It'll happen. It'll come to you.
It'll happen.
In the meantime, any other games?
Nope. Nothing that I've been playing quite yet.
Nothing over here.
Nope.
So that means we can move on into the television section.
Yep. And we always start
take the reins here
with the sports corner.
Yes, we always start with the sports corner. In this case, it's the sports display that's right behind you. We got a tiny snow globe box and a hat that was formerly filled with nachos. It's clean now. Don't worry about it. It's not like
you're dumping nachos on Otani's head.
No, we cleaned it immediately when we got home.
No, but we'll get to Otani.
We'll get there. First off, though, we start television with Sports Corner, and we start Sports Corner with a USFL update.
Congratulations. You completed one full season.
Yes, the Birmingham Stallions won the championship. What did you think?
The team that only had one loss over the course of the season.
They were going to win no matter what.
They were going to win? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Turns out.
Yeah, turns out.
So
only good football of that was in the third quarter for the last 3 minutes. But other than that, it's D-League football. They're trying.
You get what you pay for, right?
They're trying. I turned it on at the beginning, and a guy fumbled on his way to the end zone. So
you love to see it.
Yep. Lots of drop passes.
Fundamentals,
Yep. Lots of drop passes.
It's not the NFL.
No.
What are you gonna do? Let's move on to something else that's not the NFL. The NHL. Hockey had its draft. Juraj Slavov. Okay, one more time. Slavkovsky.
There you go, Slavkovsky.
Was selected as the number 1 pick in the NHL draft. What do we know about this guy? Besides his complicated name.
He's from Finland.
He's Finnish.
Yes.
Will he finish?
I believe so, because he's also a forward.
All right, there you go.
But yeah, congratulations. You got drafted to, I want to say, Detroit.
I want to say Detroit?
Yeah. But yeah, I should have put that. I don't know why I didn't put that as a first.
I don't know. I'll take
Whatever.
it. We also, in hockey, have the news of the first Black general manager in NHL history, with the San Jose Sharks hiring Mike Greer.
Congratulations.
I know how you feel about the Sharks, so don't get personal here, but this is generally good news?
This is generally good news.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of Black representation in hockey as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a Black player, it's even like, whoa, there's a Black player on this hockey team. But hey, any move to get that to be a more common thing, where it's less of a story, hey, that's great. Great for inclusivity in the league. Next up,
That's why we have the news on it.
Yes. The baseball world got its all-star picks for offensive leagues.
Officially last night.
This started last night. Those selected include Aaron Judge because he's the best player in the league right now.
He's 99. He's
the creative
Mr.
player.
Creative player.
Ronald Acuna Jr., Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Jock Peterson, Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, Jose Altuve, and Manny Machado.
And many more.
This is pretty much who you expect to be here.
Yes.
Mike Trout made news as this is his 10th time entered into the All-Star experience, which I believe is an Angels record.
Yes.
Hey, he's Mike Trout. He can't, as I said in our group text yesterday, he can't not be great. Even in the down year, he's too good. The man, you can only break him by injuring him. That's the only thing that stops him from showing up in this game.
I mean, when he pulls his big dick groin?
Yes, exactly. I mean, yes, he wasn't in the game last year, but he will be in the game this year, and he'll put on a show. I'm sure of it. Shohei Ohtani, meanwhile, is in here as a designated hitter. We will wait until tomorrow, Sunday, as of this recording, to find out whether he's also going to start as a pitcher.
And then we're going to wait another week to see if he's in the home run derby again.
Yes. My guesses here is he will be the starting pitcher again. I think so. He will be a two-way player in the All-Star game. I will put my money on him not being at the home run derby this year. I will say Trout will.
You're saying Trout's in the home run derby? I say
Trout is, Ohtani's not.
Okay.
That's my guess. Trout's been impressive home run-wise this season. And I think that he has a chance.
Okay. And in other news, baseball news, because the commissioner couldn't keep his hands out of the MLB All-Star game, he decided to add two special players as quote-unquote legacy players, one of them being Big Machine himself, Albert Pujols.
Yes.
Even though he does not deserve to be here.
Well, what are you going to do?
It's a legacy pick.
It's because this is it for him. He's done after this.
Yeah, this is his final season. So it's like, hey, I know it's your final season. Let's make you an all-star because the last time we're going to be able to do this.
I mean, I don't hate it, honestly. I don't hate it. When he's good, he's good. And I would love to see him be good. If he's still got a little bit of gas in him, I want to see him be good.
Right, but the All-Star is supposed to be the fan vote, and the fans don't think you're good enough. Then you're interfering.
The fans are all over the place on everything.
Oh, yes, they are.
Since I've been like now that I'm like a full-fledged baseball person, I have now learned what fans like and what they don't, and they're impossible to please.
Oh yes, if you watch the ESPN special, they were criticizing the fans left and right on the infielder's choice.
It's become super frustrating to listen to anything a baseball fan has to say about baseball. They're all super jaded and burnt out. It's like, why are you watching baseball if you don't like it anymore? You don't like these people. If all you want to do is complain, then why bother? I don't know. I don't get it.
Unless you're Astros, we can complain about you all the time.
Yeah, fuck you.
Okay.
Let's move on to a sport that's less serious, and fans are probably actually a hoot to hang out with. Competitive eating.
Yes.
As Joey Chestnut had a moment this year during the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest where he put a protester in a chokehold.
While still eating a hot dog.
While still making a record 63 hot dogs eaten.
It wasn't a record,
might
but
well be.
It was still 20 hot dogs ahead of the and buns ahead of the second place person.
So what was this man protesting?
I don't know. I just know that Joey took him out immediately.
Yeah. Good for him, I guess. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to feel until I know what the protest was for. But regardless, Joey Chestnut just proving that he's the guy still.
You just down on hot dogs, taking out people left and right. Also, he was injured. He had his foot was in a cast.
So he's won this 15 times. Is that what it is now?
15 times, 14 in a row now. Because there was 1 year that he lost to Matt Stoney. And then Matt Stoney never came back because he took his title and went to YouTube.
Yeah, the man knows how to eat hot dogs really, really fast.
Yep, Joey the Jaws Chestnut.
Well, good for him. And then lastly, the biggest and most...
Oh, and Miki Suda won for the women's, but she's always won. She's basically becoming the Joey Chestnut of the women's division.
Well, there you go. Meanwhile, though, the most, I think, the dramatic story in sports this week.
We haven't covered this.
Yeah, we haven't covered
for
this.
For good reason.
But it seems complicated, and let's get into it. Brittany Griner, who is a
WNBA basketball
WNBA
player.
basketball player, has been all over the news this week as she's pleaded guilty for a drug charge in Russia. Just so you know, Russia is a little bit more strict about drug possession than we are here in the U.S. If you're especially a foreigner that's carrying anything on you, you're going to be subject to a very harsh treatment. And this is what happened to Brittany Griner.
Yes, she was found trying to leave Russia with weed. I believe it was weed on her in her possession.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how many ounces it is, how big it is. It's just automatic felony.
Yes.
And so she was detained and couldn't leave Russia. There have been pleas from all people from all sorts of celebrities.
Yeah, she herself has even pled to the president to do something about this.
Right.
We'll see if there's.
But she was officially charged this week.
Yeah.
Well, she was charged, but this officially she pled guilty in Russian court.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have an update when it happens, but right now this is kind of where the story is paused for the moment.
Well, I mean, it was paused when she got arrested because we didn't know what was going to happen before that. But now here's the follow-up to it, which is why we haven't been talking about it, because she's been in a Russian prison in process.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll have an update on that when we learn more or what's going on with that. In the meantime, anything else in sports that we should cover before we move on?
Money in the Bank was bullshit. All right. Yeah, let's go.
It's not news. All right.
That's totally. Guess that is news. Speaking of WWE, Vince McMahon has agreed to pay $12 million to 4 other women for more hush money.
Not enough. 1 and 2. Just get rid of him. Just get rid of him. I'm sick of hearing how terrible of a human being he is.
You mean now?
No, he's always been. I'm just done.
Yes.
Get him out of here. All right. Let's move on to television news. Our first story has to do with the current hot stuff in the streaming world, the Duffer Brothers. Everybody, no matter where you are, is talking about Stranger Things season 4.
Except for here.
Can't escape it, except for us.
Except for here.
We have good taste. No, sorry. No offense. But yeah, they're in the news, though, this week for other reasons. They're starting to branch out. Creators Matt and Ross Duffer have formed Upside Down Pictures and recommitted to Netflix with several new projects. To run Upside Down, they've hired Hilary Levitt, developer of shows like Orphan Black, Ozark, and The Great and Shining Girls. The brothers said that the new company will be guided by the goal to create the kind of stories that inspired them growing up. Quote, stories that take place at that beautiful crossroads where the ordinary meets the extraordinary, where big spectacle coexists with intimate character work, where heart wins out over cynicism, end quote. The Duffers and Netflix have expanded their slate of projects for the future, which now include a new live-action series adaptation of Death Note, the manga and anime, an original series from creators Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews, who were behind the recent Dark Crystal Age of Resistance reboot, a series adaptation of Stephen King and Peter Straub's 1984 novel The Talisman, a new stage play set within the world and mythology of Stranger Things, and a live-action Stranger Things spin-off series for Netflix. So that's a lot of projects for the Duffers to be involved in all at once. We'll see.
But like 3 of them are Stranger Things-esque related.
Sure. So relatively in their wheelhouse. And even the stuff that's not related directly to Stranger Things seems pretty in their wheelhouse.
Yes.
Death Note is an interesting one, though.
I don't know about where that came from. But
especially since Netflix was very, very public about bailing out of anime adaptations after the Cowboy Bebop adaptation bombed.
Right, because right before that, their other Death Note live-action version bombed.
Right, yeah. Didn't this happen already?
Yes, it did already happen.
I don't know. Weird choices happening, but hey, they're taking advantage of striking when the iron is hot right now, and it's very hot.
Yes, maybe they'll take it as a loose adaptation and be like, a book that does magical things, and a kid finds it.
Yeah, less about murder.
Yes, less about killing people,
Hopefully.
and more about just the fantastical things that a kid writes in a book.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Mikey wants to fly, and then kid Mikey flies.
Mikey flies. Mikey, fly away.
Yeah, and then that's how you get into other serious stuff.
Oh, and is this when we talk about the weird beef that Doja Cat has now with the entire cast of Stranger Things? Have you seen this?
Yes, I guess so.
Let's not talk about it. Let's move on instead to something that
yeah.
Stranger Things will surely have a big presence in.
Yep.
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, it's actually, so unlike E3, it's actually back in person
Yes.
this year.
For better or for worse, if you consider what we saw out of AnimeCon last week. Did you see the footage of how many people were on the show floor there? They had to have the fire department come and block people from entering.
Yep.
Impossible to get it. Scary as shit if you're worried about getting COVID.
And San Diego Comic-Con is going to be no different.
Oh, it's going to be worse.
Oh, yes.
If anything. Well, if you are interested at all in what happens at San Diego Comic-Con, regardless of whether you're about to risk going, the show does start on July 21st, but the list of vendors and exhibits is now available. So far, we've gotten a taste of what to expect from Thursday's scheduled panels, including William Shatner's panel about his upcoming documentary that is hosted by Kevin Smith, as well as a panel featuring the cast of the highly anticipated Teen Wolf movie. We also know that Apple TV Plus will be making their convention debut with For All Mankind and Severance panels, and Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Black Adam will be turning up with exciting Hall H panels.
Congratulations, Warner.
I'm working on it.
I'm picking Shazam and Black Adam and not mentioning The Flash.
Yeah, let's not talk about The Flash at all. Thank you. Earlier this week, we learned that Prime Video would be bringing their time-traveling adventure Paper Girls to Comic-Con, which, by the way, Christy, big fan of the Paper Girls comic.
Yeah.
So she was surprised when I told her that there was an adaptation coming to Amazon soon. She had not heard about this. She, though, immediately was like, do we need that? Even as a fan, she was asking, do we need that?
Even as a fan.
We already have Stranger Things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossover with it being set in the 80s.
Maybe that's why they got greenlit.
They're doing it now.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. We might check that out depending on how interested she is in that adaptation of something she likes. But we'll see. Where was I? And
AMC.
Yes, and AMC would be making their return to San Diego with, of course, The Walking Dead, because everybody knows that if you're having a Comic-Con, The Walking Dead will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the full schedule is out, Friday looks like it is shaping up to be an exciting day filled with Marvel Studios panels about the upcoming second season of What If and Marvel Zombies. And Lucasfilm Publishing will be on site talking about their new Star Wars publishing projects. And even someone named David Dastmalchian is part of a panel about his impressive career. Who the hell is that?
He's one of the executives in Lucasfilm.
Okay, thank you. So
specifically the publishing side.
Anything you're particularly excited for Comic-Con?
Marvel stuff, because we haven't seen any new trailers.
Yeah, it's been a little bit
of any upcoming films. Now that Thor has been released, which we'll talk about later. Don't worry, we'll get there.
We will get there.
But we don't have, outside of Thor, which was released, and Miss Marvel, which is currently ending this upcoming Wednesday.
Yeah.
We only have a promo for She-Hulk, and that's it. No other Marvel imagery, teasers, trailers, anything else has come out since.
So yeah, I'm sure a lot of news and announcements will be made pertaining those. Right. Next bunch of releases.
Now, Marvel doesn't have to make announcements at Comic-Con. They can do it whenever they want.
But that's a lot of eyeballs, and so they probably should do it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of key. All right.
Other than that, see what Warner does with the Shazam and Black Adam.
Yeah, we'll see.
If they announce anything future.
Weird time if you're the DC Studios right now.
Give me a name of that Batman sequel that you greenlit.
Oh, geez, yeah. Maybe
not the Batman. The Batmans, maybe?
The Batmen.
The Batmen.
That's not bad. Anyway.
You drop the and just call it Batmans?
Batman.
Wait, didn't they already do that?
Yeah.
Batman 2024?
2024, yeah. All right, let's move on then into some thoughts. We watched some television this week. No. All right, thoughts. We watched some Hulu apparently this week.
Yes. So I actually had intended to watch the part 2 of Stranger Things season 4 until I realized they were making a season 5, and I said, nope, I'm just going to binge the whole thing once.
No, wait. But what we did watch was apparently a lot of things that are on Hulu.
Yes.
So we saw what this was. Christy mentioned something about her, a couple of her coworkers being kind of thirsty for the guy in this.
Yes.
What is The Bear?
The Bear. It's a chef show. So, speaking of chef, so take the movie Chef and movie Burnt, starring Bradley Cooper,
Uh-huh.
about a high-profile chef who gets all the accolades and then can't handle the pressure, so goes back to their hometown and takes up the family business
Mhm.
to help save them. It's a comedy, but also kind of like a dark comedy because it's very surreal and like lots of yelling, lots of Chicago yelling. It takes place in Chicago, that's why it's the Bears.
Yells in Chicago.
Yells in Chicago voice, yes. But probably one of the most real life like depictions of a butcher slash restaurateur
Uh-huh.
that I've seen in a long time. I really like it. It's fast paced. The visuals of the food cutting and cooking is very like up my
Is
alley.
it cooking porn?
It kind of is cooking porn, but it's also family. Not family porn. That's something different. It's also very family orientated because the main character moves back because the brother died, so he has to acquire the restaurant. And because he used to be this like high profile, sought after chef,
Yeah.
like he had a restaurant in New York that did great, but then like failed because he got too much pressure on him.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't like follow up and kind of crumbled, so he moved back home. This is him picking up from there already at a low point, picking up the restaurant already at a low point, and kind of the fast-paced nature of restaurateurs and not really fast food, but that fast like deli pace.
Okay, yeah. Like your local sandwich shop kind
Yes.
of vibe.
But it's fun. The characters are very interesting. The characters are trying to grow off each other. It's not like he's coming in and like teaching everyone. They're teaching from each other. They're having their own personal crisis of like who they are, what they want to be. Basically, they've been at the shop for like 20 years and nothing's really changed. And so, unlike The Resident or New Amsterdam, where new guy comes in and he's going to fix everything because he's going to break the system. No, this is I'm coming in with my own problems, and we're going to build each other up together because we are a team here, and no man's an island. Everyone's going to work together, and we're going to build each other up. Mm-hmm. Even though the main guy is the main character, he doesn't really act like the main character at all times because he's not there helping everyone. Instead, it's this other like side character, new character, very young girl who's trying to help improve the restaurant as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I like all the character dynamics in this. It says it's a comedy. Most of it's taken seriously, but it's the character interactions and dynamics that make it the comedy feel. Okay. I really liked this.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna keep. Is all of it available?
All of it's available on Hulu right now. All 8 episodes. They're they're half hours.
Okay, so they're digestible.
They're very digestible, very bingeable. If you have a weekend to kill and watch this, it's really good. I really like the inter-character dynamics. Also, Chicago Mob kind of may or may not actually be involved.
Oh shit!
Because like it's alluded to, it's said like he's not like physically in the mob, but he does lend money to the restaurant, and it's like now you have to pay me back.
There's some shady money happening in the background.
Well, it's not shady. It's like the family money. Like I gave you because you're my
family
cousin.
Money is right.
Yes, and like they literally do that too.
Yeah.
Like,
family money.
Well, because they also refer to everyone else like as cousin. Like he's my cousin. He's my cousin. Not really my cousin. He's just my best friend growing up.
Wink, wink.
He's
nudge,
my cousin.
Nudge.
Yes, a lot of Chicago might be seedy, but also like super hilarious and like the shenanigans that they get to in trying to keep the restaurant afloat.
All right. Well, sounds like a lot of to dig into. No pun intended. Cool. I also watched Hulu.
Yes.
This week. I watched similarly, just dropped this week, full season on Hulu, show called Maggie, which is about a girl who is a psychic and how being a psychic affects her love life. I thought it was an interesting premise, so I decided to give it a shot. It's a pretty traditional comedy, less of a dramedy. Mm-hmm. This is more of a comedy. The vibe I'm getting is somewhere in between like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend without the songs and maybe a little bit of like if they had actually pulled off How I Met Your Father.
Okay.
Like it's like they're in their like late 20s, early 30s, kind of like, single, like attractive people with like, doing pretty well for themselves. They have their own businesses and stuff and how they interact with each other and their love lives. But of course, she's a psychic, which kind of changes a lot of things. Every time she even touches someone's hands, regardless of whether she's doing an actual reading, she sees their future. Obviously, she has to determine, do I tell them that this is what's going to happen? What does this mean for me? Especially when she's dating a dude and she sees herself in his future. What does she do with that information? And so it goes on from there. The premise goes on from there.
Are these sites voluntarily or involuntarily?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that, yes, she is a psychic as her profession. So does occasionally do this professionally. So if somebody is paying for her, she has to see her future. But typically, since they're strangers, she's not involved in those visions. So it throws her off when she meets this dude and all of a sudden she sees him like involved in her future somehow.
Okay.
Do they date each other? Is it
business acquaintance?
Yeah,
is it just,
what does it mean?
Won't they constantly?
Is she only seeing bits and pieces of this future? So is she out of context of what it means? All of that is kind of in play here. And the show plays around with that by being like, oh, she thought, and you, the audience, thought that this meant this, that this person was going to be, that this guy was going to be this to her. Then later, she has another revelation where it's like, wait, actually, no, that's not what this meant at all. And now you're in an awkward situation because you thought that that was the future, etc. Hilarity ensues.
Man, that's so Raven.
Yeah, it's a little not so Raven, but a little bit more like a little aged up, as you would assume. I'm a little conflicted about it. I think that the premise is interesting conceptually. I want them to go all the way with it, and I think that they're being a little safe. And every once in a while, they're a little too basic with how they're doing the love story here. But the most surprising part is the joke writing is really good sometimes. Like there are some jokes that really hit. So it looks like that this may be loosely based on some real experiences. As the writer, apparently this is based on, I guess, a memoir that she wrote. And also, she is also named Maggie. She is the titular character. She doesn't play herself, but she is the head writer and co-creator of the show. So I don't know how much of real life experience is coming out here. I don't know. I don't know if I actually believe the psychics are actually seeing the future, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So there's a lot to unpack here. But yeah.
Well, that's because time is a circle. And eventually, if you have enough foresight, you can see it all the way back around.
Maybe that's what's happening here. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, some of the jokes have been really, really good. I'm only a couple of episodes in, but I'll see through it to the end of the season. 13 episode season up, 30-minute episodes, just like the bear is. So yeah, very digestible, easy to get through. Could be a nice summer breezy watch if that sounds like a good pitch to you. If you want to watch psychic shenanigans.
Okay.
So that's Maggie. We also watched an ABC game show that just premiered this week. Generation Gap. Have you seen this?
I saw the commercial for this the other day.
So we watched the first episode that aired on Thursday. Actually, we had fun with it.
Okay.
Christy was really into the idea here. The pitch is they have two panels of different generations of a family. So you have, for example, a grandmother and a grandson paired up. So, for example, 12, 13 compared to 75.
Yes.
And they are given questions to basically the grandson is given questions that are aimed towards the grandmother's generation, and the grandmother is given questions that are aimed towards the grandson's generation. For example, they'll ask the grandmother to identify lyrics of a Sia song. They'll ask the grandson to identify what a credit card machine is.
Yes.
Stuff like that. To stuff that would be typically
now
difficult.
Credit card machine or credit card machine?
Credit card machine. Yeah. The kid did not know what the hell that was. So obviously,
where it imprints on the sheet of paper.
Right. Yeah. Nobody knows what that is anymore. So yeah, so that's kind of where the hilarity comes from. Is to be like, of course the grandson doesn't know what that is, or of course the grandmother doesn't know who Justin Bieber is, that kind of thing. And of course, when they do know, it's like, wow, I can't believe they knew that. That's the entire backbone of the show.
Now, is it the same family?
So it is two families that are also supported by their extended family off to the side that are just watching and reacting. They don't actually have any gameplay here.
Okay.
But yeah, and it goes on through several rounds. There's just a question and answer round. Here's a picture and a prompt. who is this?
Yeah.
It goes on to more complicated things like the credit card machine came into play in an object identification round, which in a blind place, they had to basically describe the object that was in their hands to the other person. So the grandson had to describe what a credit card machine was, not knowing what it was, to the grandmother to guess it.
Okay.
Etc. Then there was also a secret celebrity round where a celebrity that objectively should be known by both generations was described would describe themselves in different ways. This episode, spoiler alert, was Ryan Seacrest.
Okay.
So Ryan Seacrest had to describe who he was for them to guess.
They couldn't guess by the voice?
That's what I thought. It's like they're going to know immediately if they've heard Ryan Seacrest in anything.
Right.
They didn't disguise it either. I think that maybe they should. Although then again, not everybody is going to be a radio personality. So maybe that won't be a point in the future. Maybe if it's like an athlete, that might be a little harder.
Yes.
So the foundation is pretty solid here for a goofy, fun family game show. And Kelly Ripa is the host, and she does a pretty good job. It's also got to be really cheap for ABC to do.
Yes.
So I'd say we see at least a season of this.
Okay.
As like a summer replacement thing. We had a good time. We'll watch the rest of it. But that'll be on ABC weekly on Thursdays.
They'll probably check it out. I mean,
check it out. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun show. That's all I watched this week. Anything else we need to talk about on television?
Nothing else particularly.
Ms. Marvel continues.
It'll end on Wednesday.
Was wild. We'll see what happens.
Last episode will be on Wednesday, so we'll talk about it next week.
We'll wrap that.
Yep. So that'll be the end of that 6-season arc, or 6-episode arc, 6 season.
Yeah, 6 season. I wish. We'll get there.
Yep.
But in the meantime, let's do cancellations and renewals.
All right. What am I no longer watching?
You're no longer watching Your Honor on Showtime. It has been canceled after 2 seasons.
That is its upcoming 2nd season. Will be its last.
Night Sky on Prime Video canceled after 1 season. Paramount Plus is bringing back Evil for a 4th season. Adult Swim has canceled Joe Pera Talks to You after a 3rd season.
Talks with you.
Sorry. Well, let me talk to you with you.
Yes.
Fine line. Gentleman Jack canceled after 2 seasons on HBO. And then we have a handful of deaths this week. Kazuki Takahashi, age 60, a Japanese manga artist and game creator, the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, that was a sad one I saw for a lot of fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! 60 is pretty young, but from what I understand, manga artists always die young typically because just the tough schedules that they constantly have, constant stress that they have to deal with.
Weekly schedules, yep.
Just brutal. It's brutal. James Caan, age 82, famous actor from The Godfather, Thief, Misery, The Sopranos.
Yes.
Most notably recently. But yeah, definitely a legend of a screen, will be missed for sure.
I want to say he was also in Las Vegas. Yeah. Not the city, but the show.
Yes.
Maybe also the city.
You're correct. Speaking of The Sopranos, we also lost Tony Sirico this week, age 79. Most famous for that role as Paulie Walnuts, but also in Goodfellas and Wonder Wheel.
Yes. He's the guy who you knew you were in a gangster film because he had the black hair with the silver on the sides.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
And lastly, Gregory Itzin, age 74, actor in 24, The Mentalist, and Lincoln.
He was also in Star Trek Next Generation.
And although it doesn't really really involve itself in media per se and in our usual wheelhouse, but former Japanese Prime Minister Abe was assassinated this week.
Yes, Uzo Abe.
Yes, that was really shocking considering that gun violence very rare in Japan. They have pretty strict gun policy there. Let's move on into the movie section, and we always start movies with the weekend box office numbers, and no surprise here, The Minions: Rise of Gru is your number 1 movie.
You called it.
We always do. Coming in at $107 million in its debut. Pretty good show up for the Minions, but hey, Illumination films always do really, really well.
Yes, they do. Even over extended holiday weekend.
That being said, your number 2, Top Gun Maverick, nothing to sneeze at with another $25 million. That's at 564. That just keeps going.
So this is very easily shaping up to be the film of the year.
Yeah. Easily.
Can't anything pass it in terms of 600 million?
Without knowing how Thor is going to do, I don't think it's going to do that well.
I don't think Thor's going to do that well.
Yeah, I think compared to Top Gun, I don't think it can be caught.
even Avatar is going to come out at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, and it will, but it won't make a dent.
Not in the calendar
December
year.
because it's going to be out for like a week.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely Maverick will be definitely your top grossing movie of 2022. I think you're right. Coming in at number 3, Baz Luhrmann's Elvis with another $18 million. Never. 66 million is its domestic total. Number 4, Jurassic World Dominion with another $16 million. 332 is its domestic total. And rounding out your top 5, The Black Phone with $12 million. That's at 47 million. If you're wondering where this week's debut, Mr. Malcolm's List ended up.
Your wide release.
Well, not so wide after all, as it only made $800,000 at number 7.
Yes.
Damn, Mr. Malcolm.
I don't know why they say wide release when you know it's not going to be that wide.
Yeah. Upcoming this week, following in Thor's Aftershock, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, for your kids to see. This is the trailer that I saw, and I thought, wait, they're making a fucking Hong Kong Phooey movie?
That's
and
what I thought.
wasn't.
I thought, hey, they made a Hong Kong Phooey movie.
And
then somehow they couldn't get the rights to make Hong Kong Phooey, so they had to call it something else.
This is, I believe, Nickelodeon is backing this.
Yes.
So we'll see.
But Michael Cera is your lead voice actor here.
And then also Where the Crawdads Sing, which is the only thing I know about this is it's got that Taylor Swift song on it.
It's based off the book of the same name. This is the production company of Reese Witherspoon.
Yes. All right, those are your new releases. Let's move into some movie news.
All right.
Our first is a little bit of a crossover with the video game segment, but not in the way you think. The PlayStation Store is a place that you can buy movies on, similar to how you can buy movies on iTunes or
a place you used to be able to buy movies on.
Yeah, well, that's not going to be the case very soon. PlayStation is phasing out that segment of their business, but they're doing it in a way that people did not anticipate it, at least for specific releases. They're actually removing access to hundreds of movie titles from Studio Canal, the French studio, that customers in Germany and Austria specifically have previously purchased. The move comes a year after Sony's PlayStation Group stopped offering movie and TV show purchases and rentals as of August 31st, 2021, citing the rise of streaming. At the time, Sony assured customers that they can, quote, still access movie and TV content they have purchased for on-demand playback for their PS4, PS5, and mobile devices. But clearly that didn't mean forever. The list of Studio Canal distributed titles that will be removed include 314 in Germany and 137 in Austria. Those include Studio Canal financed films like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the 2 Paddington movies. Oh no, they'll lose Paddington! Non-Stop and Shaun the Sheep. In addition, multiple Lionsgate movies, including the Hunger Games series, John Wick, and the Saw movies will no longer be available as well. Mm-hmm. This is wild because one of the things that digital content providers have usually promised is that if you buy it and download it, it's yours forever. It's the reason why Rock Band songs, if you bought them way back in 2008 when Rock Band 2 came out, you still have it. You still have access to that song, regardless of what happens with rights ownership for harmonics. So this is a real betrayal of trust here that we're seeing here. And whether this is country by country, maybe they found loopholes in the law that says they can do this, maybe. As far as I know, this is not something you can do here.
Well, because Germany and Austria are part of the EU.
Right.
So that's the EU law now.
So I wonder, if the EU, maybe it's a little bit flimsier than here in the US, where I think that you would have class action lawsuits up the wazoo if this happened here. It would not be.
So this is why we're going to see a PlayStation harken back to the God of War bundle, which is an all digital download.
Yeah. This is the risk that people 10 years ago, as I mentioned, when we were frightened of an all digital future, this was what people were worried about. This was
what we were saying when the sky was falling. If it's you own it for the life of the company, for the life that they want to provide it.
Yeah, and on a whim, honestly, it's like at-will employment, sort of, where it's like your employer can at any time say, we're going to fire you, and you can't do anything about it. Same kind of thing here. Like the Sony can just be like, hey, you know what? The Studio Canal stuff, too expensive to renew these distribution rights. Sure, we're not selling it anymore, but we probably pay something to keep you watching it, downloading
to keep it on their storefront.
So, yoink. Sorry, you don't get it anymore. a very bad precedent. This is
Mhm.
scary, and I hope people in those respective countries do say something and do something about this. Maybe there's something you can do in EU law to prevent them from doing it and get these reinstated. We'll see, but it's a really scary little glimpse of what may be our digital future.
This is why we always harken back to physical media.
Yep.
Because you can physically own something.
You own it. They can't take it away from you.
Than the ones and zeros of a digital download.
They can't take it away from you. All right. Anyway, so with that frightening story in mind, let's move on to a much less frightening story.
Oh yeah, something more on the home front, more America.
Yeah, in fact, Captain America. He's been in the news this week as we're finally getting new news about the fourth Captain America film. Julius Ona from the Cloverfield Paradox and Loose is set to direct the fourth film, which will star new Captain America, Anthony Mackie.
He's not new, he's just Captain America.
Well, he's not the old Captain America, so that's what new means. Whatever. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier creator and head writer Malcolm Spellman is writing the screenplay alongside Dallin Moosen, who is a staff writer on the series. The film does not yet have an official title or release date, but expectations are high that Marvel Studios could announce both at San Diego Comic-Con, where the studio will be presenting for the first time since back in 2019. So yes, I think we do hear news at Comic-Con about this. We'll get a title, we'll get a release date, and we'll know even more about Anthony Mackie, Captain America.
Yep, I want to see Phase 5 news at Comic-Con. I want to see the Marvels footage. I want to see an actual trailer for Black Panther. Give me the title for Captain America. Give me the title for the Fantastic Four movie. Give me the title for the Blade movie. Give me promise that the Seven Sons. Yes, give me Marvel. I know you're cooking this stuff. I know you're making it. Just tell me already. Tell me what you're cooking.
You got those grubby hands all over Marvel.
Yep.
All right. Anyway. Well, we would love to go segue you straight into Marvel, but I feel like we should keep it until you talk about the other movie that you watched this week. This is a little cleanup.
Oh, yes. Talking about some good guys here.
The good guys. And I'm not talking about the electronics store, the departed electronics store, RIP, the good guys. Anyways.
No, this is the Universal animated film, The Good Guys, starring Sam Rockwell as
I thought this was
wolf.
DreamWorks. Is this not DreamWorks?
Might be DreamWorks.
I think this is DreamWorks.
I think it's DreamWorks. Yeah, but I saw it on Peacock.
Yes.
So that's why we think Universal.
Yes.
But yeah, The Good Guys now available on Peacock for your viewing pleasure, but rather please don't.
Oh, okay.
Because I have issues with this film.
All right.
In a world where you have both humans and talking animals, somehow the talking animals, all of them that are introduced, are specifically criminals, specifically thieves. Why do you do that?
Yeah,
Why
not
specifically call out that? Like so it tries to do the double switch where they're the good guys in this human world, but no, they're even the person who's supposed to be the good person. No, they're just a thief. That's just a thief, and I'm like, okay,
that's part of the setup, right? Because isn't the premise of this is that they're storybook villains? They're trying to be good.
Yes, but then that brings in a different issue. Where's all the other storybook villains who aren't villains?
Okay.
Are they all just already incarcerated and not running around on the streets, and the police can't catch these people?
Okay.
The idea of Craig Robinson's shark being a master of disguise when clearly that's a shark. How dumb are you that they recognize that's a shark in a mustache?
Oh no.
I don't know. It's like the Clark Kent thing, but it's a shark. And then I just have so many issues with this film, because everyone's an animal. The villains are the animals in here, so you're supposed to be rooting for them to get caught in the bad guy, but because they're the bad guys, but they pretend to be good guys, so they can still be bad guys and steal the award.
So do they try to redeem them by the end? Is there some sort of character arc happening?
So the redemption is that anyone who is bad can be good if given the good incentive of you're a good person, you're a good doggy, wolfy, the tail wag, oh, that's a good feeling. I can do this and get good feelings.
Okay.
That's what it wants you to take out of this.
That's what it wants. But is it successful doing so?
No, because like I said,
No.
every animal is a damn thief in this film. And so by the time you get to the third act and they reveal that all these, like the 7 animals that they've revealed in this film are all thieves, are all trying to get the same thing. And you're like, okay, pause. Everyone you've showed me that is an animal in this society is a thief. Yet everyone else in this society is a human person. And yet they are unable to distinguish that a wolf is among them, a shark is among them, this person is a snake. Like I can get it if like this is like their like alter ego, like aforementioned, like this person just acts like a snake, so we're gonna personify them as a snake. I could get that, except the person actually does snake things. The shark actually does shark things. The wolf actually does wolf things. Spider actually does spider things. It's like, okay, you can give me like the illusion, but still keep the human, or give me everyone in an animal society and reject the humans. You're too busy compounding interests here.
You're just mad that they didn't pick a lane.
No, they couldn't pick a lane.
This is not Zootopia, where they established this is a world of animals. Everyone is an animal. They all have animal jobs, but they are also still the animals, and there's stereotypes related to that. This, you're saying they didn't pick any of things. It's just like arbitrary.
Yes.
It's like these are animals, but they're also humans, and the animals, yeah, they're kind of animals,
Yeah,
but they're also basically people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick a lane. Sorry, pick a lane. Bad movie. No treat for you. You're not a good guy. Bad.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I saw the trailers for this and I was like, this looks like trash.
Oh, it was.
It always looked bad. So you don't think, so say you need to take kids to a movie, is it worth even to distract a kid for an hour and a half? Or do you think that they would also be bored?
Lots of guinea pigs. Oh, that's the other thing. Oh my God, I just remembered this. So the other animals, so one of the main villains is a guinea pig. Yet there are like an anthropomorphic guinea pig, like walks and talks and gets awards and stuff.
That's terrifying. Okay.
But there are actual, yeah.
Wait, roll back the tape a little. What awards is this guinea pig?
The Good Human Citizen Award.
But he's not human.
Exactly. That also like throws it into
what?
But in addition to him like walking and talking, interacting with actual people, there are actual guinea pigs, the animal that humans keep in cages.
Are you saying it's a goofy Pluto thing is happening in this film?
Yes, it's definitely a goofy Pluto thing.
Weird. Very weird.
Because he might use a mind control device to call upon the guinea pigs that live within the city. So that means that there are guinea pigs who are kept in cages as pets, in addition to this one guinea pig running around, interacting with other people, and they don't see an issue with that.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Exactly.
I don't get it. All right. Well, that's The Good Guys. That's on Peacock now if you missed it in theaters. For good reason, I assume.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess it's there if you want to suffer.
Otherwise, you can watch actual good guys in Thor, Love and Thunder.
All right, here's where we talk about Thor. Okay, I'm going to preface this with, I did not expect the reaction to this movie to be as mixed as it is.
It's very diverse.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are
divisive,
are kind of disappointed by this movie, which is surprising coming off of the love that everybody had for Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. Marvel Disvisor, friend of the show, Christy, also enjoyed Thor Ragnarok for what it was. What happened? What's going on in Love and Thunder? Does it deliver on the same great vibes of Ragnarok? And where does it possibly fall short?
So what made Ragnarok good is that it took Thor away from being an individualistic person and identity, and made him a part of a team to go and attack Hela.
By the end of that thing, he has a posse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what they do here. Thor is never alone in this film. He is always with a team, whether it's at the beginning with the Guardians of the Galaxy or with the Ragnarok team once the movie actually gets going, of Korg and Valkyrie and the mighty Thor.
People you want to see.
Yes, people you want to see. Not spoiler because it's in the trailer, but Jane Foster, Natalie Portman is back as the Mighty Thor, and it takes from that story comic line where they fight against Gore, the God Butcher, who, now this is where I have a problem with, does not do a lot of butchering. If he does, it's off screen and it's shown in a quick, like, oh, here's a panel of dead God, dead God, dead God, dead God, but never him actually butchering.
I mean, you could kind of say the same thing about Killmonger and Black Panther, right? A lot of, you're just supposed to go in knowing, oh, this guy has killed a lot of people. And
but at least
he only kills a couple of people.
At least he actually shoots someone
in
the middle of the movie to remind you, oh yeah, he's the bad guy.
But in the name, though, you're just supposed to know, oh, he's a god butcher. He's probably butchered some gods before.
Yes.
So,
but that's it. Everything is like talked about him off screen, but never, like, he only butchers one god in the beginning. I say butcher because all he does is he just stabs him in the neck with a necro sword, and then
that's pretty butchered.
It just starts on his journey, but not like I'm going like power hungry and just like slash 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 butcher 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 chop chop chop.
He's not running a butcher shop, a god butcher shop.
No, God, no, not God.
Selling you different.
Not Gore the butcher. Not Gore the butcher shop. No, if you want that, go watch The Bear.
There you go.
But I think that's where people have like mixed reviews because Gore is a powerful being in the Marvel comics, and they wanted more of that.
Sure.
Now, don't get me wrong. Christian Bale actually knocks it up out of the park here. He's great as a villain.
I've heard good things about him.
He is great, especially in his monochrome world where there is no light and sunshine and rainbows. Everything's monochromistic, and I really like that aspect. There's a lot of good visually cues in this. Where I think people are having issues where it falls kind of flat is the story, because it does feel like we're going from point A to point B to point C. And getting there is just, well, we're going to go here now. And then they go. Like, well, we're going to go here now. And then they go.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like they had the set pieces of where they wanted to go, but couldn't find a absolute reason besides Thor saying, now we're going to go here.
Okay. And
kind of like have a more well thought out plan of getting everyone together on the same page.
Okay.
So like I said, they take a lot of cues and inspiration from the Mighty Thor comics, as well as the Gore the God Butcher saga in the comics, but only inspired by, because a lot of stuff does change. And here's where I'm conflicted with whether this is a good movie or a bad movie.
Okay.
Because Gore the God Butcher has a lot of parallels between both Jane Foster Thor and Chris Hemsworth Thor, where they have the exact same origin story of they're dying, but a magical weapon helps them regain life, but used for destruction, more or less. So it's yes, I'm glad to be alive, but I'm also a harborer of destruction here.
Do you think their arcs are a little too similar to each other?
Well, that's on purpose, though.
Yeah.
It's to show the dichotomy of how each arc can go.
It's like, hey, what if there were three of the same guy and they had to interact with each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is actually what happens in the comic book, is that Thor teams up with younger Thor and old King Thor to fight Gore.
That makes sense.
But then you have Thor and Gore, and then you're like, oh my God, Thor Gore.
I get it.
Yes, I get it. Gore, Rise of Thor. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And also Gore as in Gore, like
right.
Gore, horror Gore.
Works on so many levels.
So there's stuff there that says, hey, like, I'm making the connections here. I'm making the parallels here.
Yeah.
There are stuff that I purposely try and like get to you to realize, but then if you still don't get it by the end, I'm just basically tell you, this is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
This is what I'm goring for.
So one of the things that was so good about Ragnarok is that a lot of people were surprised by how funny it was. Is this funny in the same ways? Does it hit those beats?
This is funny, but also enforced funny. And by forced funny, I mean yelling goats funny.
Okay.
If you find yelling goats funny.
They can be funny.
Some people do.
Yeah.
They can also be annoying.
Remember the video of the screaming goats in time to Taylor Swift's "I Knew You Were Trouble"?
Yes.
Yeah, classic.
Yes.
So like that.
Yeah, those screaming goats.
Cool.
But not necessarily like in time, just like randomly screaming as like, hey, oh, by the way, the goats are still here.
I now know my image I'm going to use on the website now.
Yep, screaming goats. So it's fun. It does a lot of stuff. Gore kidnaps children, which is what sets them on their motion of the adventure to go and retrieve the children.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I think Ragnarok had the better story because your hero is constantly trying to overcome a different obstacle instead of trying to basically recruit people. You never get the full like power up. Like now you get unlike with Infinity War, where Thor's arc was go get hammer to defeat bad guy.
I mean, it's the classic superhero problem, right? Which is a superhero that can do a whole lot of shit is only as interesting as your plot that you come up with to prevent him from doing that shit.
Yes.
Because you can't solve everything in 10 minutes. So yeah, like I feel like the story that does a better job prohibiting your hero from doing that is the better story than the one that maybe doesn't and maybe isn't as efficient at keeping them from doing their thing.
But that's the thing though, is that even when like the items that they have by the time they fight Gore the first time do not change, and there is no like immediate power up from the time that they fight him the second time. They just couldn't do it the first time because reasons.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, how are you feeling about this in the Thor series now?
Some of it may or may not actually break its own rules, which I'm like not okay with because you set up your rules. Also, how many flashbacks and montages do you need?
Not enough.
Because within the first 30 minutes, there's at least 3 different montages. Jeez. You have the montage of Thor getting back in shape from dad bod to god bod. You have the montage of, oh, here's everyone that Thor lost in his life. As a reminder, in case you didn't see, Thor 1, Thor 2, Thor 3, Infinity War. Recap. And then there's the montage of the relationship that Thor and Jane had post Dark World and pre-Ragnarok. Because at the beginning of Ragnarok, you're like, oh, they broke up, and you never told why or how.
Yeah, Ragnarok kind of plays around with that. That's for comedy more than it is actual plot resolution.
Yes,
well, they kind of just shove her under the blanket, you could say, by just a couple of scenes.
Yeah, it's like we were having trouble getting her to sign on, so we decided to write her out the story.
Let's make jokes about the fact that she's not actually in this movie.
Yes. Well, here they actually have a montage scene of their relationship, how good it was, and then it kind of broke down because she was doing more science stuff. He was flying off and doing like space Viking fighting stuff. So it could never like be together enough to have a full conversation relationship.
Different kind of thing.
Yeah. So you have those 3 montages within the first 30 minutes. And it's in a way
overwhelming.
It's overwhelming to get you one caught up to what they're doing, but also kind of like a slap of, well, I watched all those films. Why am I being reminded?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I get it. There's 15 years since he first took up Thor. 12 years. Let's see. It shot in 2007. Shot in 2009 to 8. Released in 2010. So we've seen it from 12 years of Thor. Plus possible 5th movie.
Right.
So in the 5th movie, if I see another montage of everything that he's lost,
we've done this.
Like we've done this over and over and over again.
So is it good?
Is it good? I put it below Ragnarok, but obviously above the other 2 Thors.
Better than Thor: The Dark World?
Shocker.
Wow.
In terms of Phase 4 movies, one of the better ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Put it up there.
All right, cool.
But then again, you're going against Eternals.
Yeah.
Black Widow.
Stuff. Yeah. So there's not really a big competition.
Yeah, not a really big competition there.
Yeah.
I think Doctor Strange is the better movie between the two,
Okay.
but I think that's also because Doctor Strange actually adds lore to the MCU, whereas Thor doesn't have any of that. It's I'm on the adventure. You get your adventure within Thor: Love and Thunder.
The stakes are different, right?
The stakes
are not phase.
They're not multiversal.
Yeah, they're not phase
ending.
impacting stakes here.
Right.
Like Doctor Strange.
Right.
Is
It's
here.
not multiverse
Spider-Man.
ending. It's not
Right.
completely world shattering ending.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is for like the gods, which when you throw in like gods do exist, you throw this whole other like existential thing of okay, if gods exist and they're up here in their like big golden city castle and not actually helping people, are they actually gods? Should we actually be worshiping them? Because that then falls right into what Gore the God Butcher is doing and saying. I was like, yeah, no, he's right here. Like they're not doing anything. So
there you go. All right. Yeah. That is Thor: Love and Thunder. I'll probably catch this when it comes on Disney Plus because I'm probably not going to go see this in a movie theater.
So that'd be in 3 months. Check it out in October.
Hey, all right. Well, that will do it for movies, and that will do it for the Media Boat podcast this week.
Last thing, did you watch it? Marcel the Snare?
No, we've not seen it yet, so we'll maybe see it sometime soon.
I might try and find a theater next week for the 17th.
Yeah, Marcel the Shell.
Yes,
with shoes on. I do look forward to seeing that, but I haven't done it quite yet. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us in the Media Boat podcast. Yes, welcome aboard the Media Boat, where we have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week, of course, with another live episode from here. It sounds. We're usually recording on Saturday mornings. You can see us live if you go to youtube.com, search Media Boat Podcast, find our channel, like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications when we do that. You can also find us in audio versions if you search us on podcast services of your choice, whether it be Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, search Media Boat Podcast, and you'll see us as well as our archive of content, including special episodes like our March Madness brackets and our year-end wrap-up episodes. Mm-hmm. You can also see us on social media platforms like Twitter, where we're at Media Boat Cast, Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast there. You can find us on MediaBoatPodcast.com, where we've now recently updated to find the most recent episodes. So you can see an archive of our regular episodes on there, dating back a few years. A lot of episodes on there.
Yeah. A bomb drop of episodes.
Yes, bomb drop. It won't be like that. It'll be weekly from now on, I swear. You can also find us by emailing us. You can ask us questions if you want to give us feedback. Anything you've been wondering about the show, or if anything you want to tell us, you can email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. And if you email us there, you can, sometimes we'll read them on the show. Hey, send us an email and we'll read it. That's simple. So do it. Go for it. In the meantime, have a great week. We'll be back next week with another episode of exciting stuff. Yep. So stay tuned.
We'll have our thoughts on Miss Marvel.
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
Yep, next week. We'll have thoughts on Lizzo.
Yeah.
And possibly more news and more thoughts next week. So
even more.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you for watching us live. Bye. All right.